Hi guys, welcome to this week's podcast. Me and Gregor discuss our new business idea for this week. We discuss market research, sort of why we've chosen the market and how we're going to source it. Hope you guys listen, enjoy. Well, Garrett, thanks for coming along to this podcast this week.
Thank you very much, Jimmy, inviting me along. It's our podcast, so a weekly podcast, so we should be on it together. But
We should be
thank
on
you.
it together. Okay. I debate that, but sometimes it's right to bring him along, guys. I think if he's all listening, thank you for coming. So this week we're going to discuss the changes we've made in terms of the business, the plans, where we're at. Me and Gregor spent the last sort of over the week and the last hour having a great discussion about where we're at and the changes we're wanting to make in terms of business progress and where we want to go. So Gregor, do you want to get these guys started, talk about where we're going, what we're doing, and the next steps?
So obviously, we want to find out a product to sell. Jamie's obviously gone down the route of looking what other people are doing, what markets are growing, what's his interest, and he's done a great job of actually identifying a potential market for us that we're going to explore. So for us, Jamie's began with looking at dogs and kind of pets in the industry there. So finding out what's the size of that whole market within the UK, understanding if it's growing, is it declining, what certain products are selling well. He's done that research and he's found out, the volumes of sales there, which is all positive for us. It's not a declining market. There's a big enough market to have a share of.
Yeah.
And Jamie, I think you could maybe expand on it a bit, but that was the
Yeah.
first step, basically. Find an interest and then explore in more detail what are the numbers within this market. And if we can target a market which is growing and is popular,
Okay,
that
Gregor.
helps us.
Yeah, 100%. So one of the things I did was I took obviously the advice we got from Scott Morton when we did the podcast with him. The research that he had done, clearly he found a market that was obviously there was enough business. So give you guys a little bit of facts. The UK spends around 10 billion a year on their dogs and about 8 billion on cats. A large portion of people who own dogs spend on average normally about £2,000 like a year on their pet. And then on average of that, there's a quite large percentage that spend on like birthday presents. 25% of dog owners buy a birthday present. 27% of dog owners do spa treatments for their dogs. So there's a big market. And there was also evidence when I was researching this that it's growing. So I was like, how can we capitalize on this? It's an industry. Oh, sorry about that, guy. So it's an industry that's growing, and it's something that I think we need to try and make use of. There's so much business. I thought, to give you a good example, if you were to take that 10 billion and look at how many people buy accessories, 66% of people buy accessories every year for their pets. So 66% of that 10 billion is 6.6 billion. 0.001% of that is 66,000 in sales. And I'm going, Gregor, how can we capitalize on that? How can we get that 0.001% to try and get £66,000 in sales?
So as Jamie's done that research, our next step is to basically niche down and find a product that might fit within that market. We obviously want to niche down because we don't want to compete with the big guys that currently have a wide range of products within the market, but we can find our own space here and compete within that. So our research began with looking at providers of products. Predominantly, this is Alibaba. A lot of people use this just for sourcing suppliers, typically in Asia, where a lot of the products are made today. So we've done a bit of research on Alibaba and found a couple of products that we thought were interesting. We look at the sales of these products. We find, is that got an actual use case in the UK, in particularly the market we've chosen, which is obviously dog accessories and dog products. And then we jumped across to basically Etsy as a kind of a wee bit of analysis on simple products, looking at if they have a market there as well. So what's good about Etsy is you can actually see how many sales a business has. So for example, you type in collars, you see all the different businesses selling collars, and you can see how many sales they've had since their inception. So that's been quite a good identifier for us. And we've used that as a tool to basically go, okay, we can maybe target this niche, which actually is to do with collars. So what we've dived into, Jamie, we'll explain a bit more detail, is Apple AirTags, which allows you to track basically, you can have it tracking anything basically by its geolocation. And obviously, with Apple being a high quality product that demands a, a higher price,
Premium.
a premium price, so a premium product to store that. So, what we're thinking is people would want to maybe add that to a dog collar and have that as a new dog collar so they can track their pets. Say they do get lost, or you want to track where they've gone, you can get all these information from the Apple AirTag, and we're just providing that accessible collar accessory for dogs, which is going to be ideally of high quality, but also appeal to a wide range of customers. Jamie, do you want to explain a bit more on what our plan is there?
Yeah. So with this next steps that we're sort of going down, obviously we've found the product, we've got the niche sort of down of where we're going. We're going to basically use Apple as our backing, but what the key thing next we need to do is find a supplier. So with the product, and what we understand from even looking on Etsy, is the product has to be a certain standard. So we understand that we want to go for the premium. You've obviously got the ones that are made of cheaper materials. Me and Greg are kind of looking at the sort of higher end product, the leather. So it's going to last. We understand that dog owners are not want to buy a dog collar every, once a month. They plan to have a dog collar and it'll probably be the dog collar for quite some time. So we are looking at premium product, and this is where sort of the supply of the product is going to be and the quality of the product is going to be key. So what I'm going to do in the next sort of period is basically find a supplier that we can do. And then through Alibaba, I'm going to get samples sent across. This will cost us a little bit in terms of getting set up and starting on there, but it's going to be the key step to sort of making us in next step in the direction of actually getting this business up and running and
Yeah,
going from there.
100%.
Um,
We want to
so
make sure that,
that's.
go on, Jamie.
Oh, sorry, no, you're fine. It's all right.
Well, I was going to say that's the reason why we want to make sure it's, if we can eliminate the risk for products being good quality, hence why we're asking for supplier examples, and obviously providing a quality service for a premium product such as the Apple AirTag. So that's why we want to try and reduce the risk there by going the route of getting a sample first.
Yeah,
You may have to buy an Apple AirTag to do that. We don't have one at the moment, but that's a cost that we can take on board. Ultimately, these things are popular, and you can obviously resell it on a used marketplace, so you can actually limit costs that way as well. Another part of this, Jimmy, I think is important is we haven't covered so far is keyword research planning. Just to understand if there's what's key terms are people searching for if they are looking for a product like this. That means that we can align our copy for our website, SEO advantages around that to make sure
yeah,
that people will find our website online. Um, Jamie's going to do the work on sourcing supplier. I'll obviously be part of that process as well, but Jamie's going to be the main responsibility there. And then when the time's right, I will be looking into creating the website. Now we will be looking at a no code builder, one of these template format websites. In the past, Scott in our previous podcast used Wix as an example, and appears to say that that is a good product, and they appear to have developed their product in more detail to suit selling products on their platform and providing data around the sales, the number of clicks throughs, how the product performs on the
yeah,
website. So that's ideal for us. So we'll look at exploring that. And then me and Jamie have a bunch of ideas for advertising. We want to obviously look down social media routes and potentially also look at marketplaces, such as even just setting up a store on Etsy, as an example, could be a source of revenue. So we'll probably explore that route. But yeah, social media, there's a bunch of ideas that we think could make it stand out from the crowd, which is obviously the goal here, to capture an audience and then obviously turn that audience into customers. I think that
exactly.
covers everything, Jimmy. That is
Yeah,
kind of where we're at the moment, process wise. So, what we've done is market research. We've chosen niche down on the market. It is sourcing products are our next step, and then we're looking into marketing. So, that's where we're at. And I think that is almost like a repeatable process for if the
yeah.
product doesn't work. But ideally, I'm going to stick with this for a wee while.
Yeah, so what we'll do as well is let's just set some obviously so for by next week, guys, we're hoping next week we can come to you with some products that have been ordered in this coming week. Me and Gregor will plan on having products ordered so then we can discuss how that process went as well, how we found even using Alibaba, just to give you that bit of insight of if you're looking to do the exact same, how difficult is it, where do you go to do it, and how safe is it? So I'll talk you through that. Hopefully, obviously, we won't have the product by next week, as the lead times on these products are obviously, a couple of weeks to a month. But we'll obviously discuss that. We'll hopefully have a name for the business for you guys next week as well, so we can actually discuss the steps that we're looking to go down with that, and obviously maybe start on the website. So Gregor can discuss obviously how he's found setting this website up and just the initial process of how you guys can do that, and then we can obviously go from there. So
Sounds perfect, Jimmy.
sounds perfect, and I look forward to discussing this next week, Gregor, and spending a bit of time on this.
Me too.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Speak to you next week.